So hello everyone, welcome to the Signature Talk to Experts Tuesday. We are so thrilled to have all of you here. This is an exclusive webinar series designed to give all of you an hour with a few of our engineers within Qlik Signature support. You can use this time to ask questions about the topic at hand, and we'll review that in just a minute. We do have a few housekeeping items for today. Everyone is on mute, so please use the Q&A panel below to ask your questions. We will not necessarily be using the panel to respond to your questions, as we will try to get to everyone's question live today. If we don't get to your question or it's something that may take some time to research, we will follow up with you accordingly. If you jumped on to get your question answered and then have to leave, that's okay. Once you exit the session, a survey will pop up. Please take the time to fill out the survey and give us feedback on improving these sessions or suggesting another topic. You will also be able to give a shout out to one of our wonderful panelists today, or any and all of them. And all feedback is appreciated, and the survey does take less than a minute. So please, again, if you could fill out that survey, we would really appreciate it. During today's session, we will not be able to answer any questions regarding a specific open case, and scripting or development responses may be limited as well. And we also ask that you keep the questions, again, related to the topic at hand. And today's topic is troubleshooting development and design of QlikSense apps. So are you having an issue with a connector, or is a chart not working as expected, or the most common one is an app taking too long to load? This session has two of the best engineers to help you troubleshoot. Use the Q&A panel below to get your questions in for our engineers. And while we wait for you all to enter in your questions, I will go ahead and take this time to introduce them. Joining me today, I have Nadia Butler, Senior Technical Support Engineer, and Jay Brown, Senior Technical Support Engineer. Nadia, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jamie. Hi, my name is Nadia Butler. I've been with Qlik for the last 3 years. I work primarily at the beginning with QlikView infrastructure issues, but also with UI. And now I am more focused on UI issues for both QlikView and QlikSense.
Great, thank you, Nadia. And Jay.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay Brown. I've been at Qlik for 5 years, and most of my background is QlikSense focused and on the back end.
Perfect. Jay's being modest. He's one of our connector SMEs, so ask him all the connector questions that you have. All right, everyone, my name is Jamie Gregory, and I'm a technical support engineer here at Qlik. I will be moderating this session for you. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and have been with Qlik for about 3.5 years. I primarily live out in the Qlik community and focus on the Qlik support updates blog, where I communicate product updates, critical issues, share articles and videos, and just let you all know what's happening in general with Qlik support. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Give me 1 second to pull everything up. All right. So the first question, it's actually kind of, we'll take it step by step, I think, because I think it's kind of a few questions in one. So they have an externally hosted mashup integration with QlikSense on Windows. The QPS API is not REST, hence cannot lease a session token. How does that work?
Okay, so yeah, we were going to need some more information about this. I'm actually looking at this kind of a 3-part question.
Okay.
So it looks like they're using Azure with, so they can't use, and that certificate's rotated every 24 hours, so they can't use JWT enabled proxy. And their last question about it is how is it done with other clients. So yeah, in this case, it sounds like they're trying to use the personal API instead of the machine API endpoint. So I would suggest that they make sure that they use, instead of using the personal API, which is QPS hostname /virtual proxy /QPS and then the path, to instead use HTTPS the hostname :4243 and then a /QPS and then the virtual proxy prefix and then the path, and I think they'll have better success. We have a lot of customers that do this, so as long as they're using the machine endpoint, not the personal API, they should be okay.
Okay. Well, let me just find the chat. I'll put that URL in the chat for everybody. There you all go. Okay. Perfect. All right, so next question. Does the session deal with troubleshooting, development, and design of QlikSense apps on QlikSense Cloud, SaaS, as well as QlikSense Enterprise on Windows? So, I mean, I think I would just ask any question regarding QlikSense, whether it is on Enterprise or QlikSense SaaS. From a development standpoint, a lot of things are going to be similar between the two environments. Obviously, there are some differences. Anything that we can't answer today on this session, we will definitely forward to someone to get your question answered. So I would, if you guys agree, if you guys are okay with that, I would just say, just ask your questions and we'll try to do our best. All right. The next question we have is, where can we see the Qlik roadmap? So obviously this question is not related to troubleshooting design or your apps, but I will go ahead and take a second here to kind of show you where you can find a session on that. Let me bring over. This is a Qlik community. This is community.qlik.com. Everyone can see that, right? Oh, you're muted, Jay.
Sorry, yes, we can see.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because there's been plenty of times where I've been like talking about stuff and it's not showing up. All right, so this is Qlik community, community.qlik.com. If you go here to events and then events and webinars, there's actually a community hosted Qlik webinar session that pertains to the roadmap. It has the product managers on that session and they just kind of run through like what's to come. The next session is in June. Let's see if we can find it here. There's a lot of sessions on here. Did I pass it already? I think I passed it. Oh, here it is. I think they changed the image for it. That's why I couldn't find it. All right, so Qlik product portfolio strategy and roadmap. This is for the data analytics side of the house. So if you're familiar, there's data integrations and data analytics. Data analytics would be QlikSense, QlikView, and printing, all those products. So you can sign up for this session here. I'll actually go ahead and put the link in the chat for everybody. You do have to be a customer, partner, or a luminary to join the session, and you do have to use your email associated with your company because they do moderate who can join the session. All right. And we are getting a couple questions in the chat. If you all wouldn't mind just putting them in the Q&A panel, it's a little bit easier for us to manage those questions. So you should see Q&A at the bottom of the webinar session. And if you just put your questions in there, it helps us out a little bit more with moderating. All right, let's see. I have too many windows open. Oh my goodness. All right, next question. Oh, this one's just kind of a comment. Looking forward for details on how to knock off the big apps, implement best design features, etc. So the next session, so this one is a troubleshooting session, but the next session is actually a best practices, and we'll have a CSE on the call, and that one might be a little bit better just to get some best practice tips. Right now on the screen, you should see a QR code. The session is on April 27th. It's best practices for QlikSense app development. If you just use the camera on your phone, you can actually register right now, or when the QR code will cycle through again, you can just sign up for that session using your camera on your phone. Again, if you can use your company email, that helps as well. These are, exclusive events for the signature client. So we just like to double check everyone is a signature client that joins the session. Okay, next question. We have a multi-node setup. All these nodes have been configured with all the services, including the scheduler service. We have certain large apps that we want to be able to run only on specific nodes. Is this possible?
Yeah, I can answer this. Yeah, so they can just set up load balancing for consumer nodes. There's a help article about this. I'll see if I can dig it up and post it. I'll post it in the chat.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. When working on an app that someone has built that you've taken over, is it possible to track down where particular fields are being used in the sheets? If we need to check if a field is being used in visualization, what's the best way to do that?
So in QlikView, you do this with Document Analyzer, and you can also do this with the Document Analyzer that is that's made for Qlik Sense. I don't have a lot of exposure to it personally. I don't use it a lot, but you can check that in Document Analyzer. I'll see if I can find a community link to that as well.
Okay. Do you have anything, Nadia?
Yeah, pretty much the analyzers are the most known. Just keep in mind that those are not supported by us, are really great tools, but we do not support them.
Okay, perfect. All right. So this question, is direct discovery still going to be improved in the next months for better support of Snowflake live queries, for instance? So we don't have any product manager on the call today. So that question might be better asked during either the roadmap session that's coming up on June 3rd that you can find out in the Qlik community. Something else that you may want to do is put an ideation out there and just get a direct response from the product manager. So I'll show you everyone where that is as well. If we go back up and over here to ideation and then ideation discussions, or you can go to suggest an idea, either one of those places. You can search ideation. So all the ideations are monitored by our product managers. It is for all the products that we have. So you can enter in any request that you want to see happen. I highly suggest once you first search for it and make sure the idea is not already out there, and then create the idea if it's not, and then share it with all your peers and coworkers, and try to get traction on the idea so that you can see it in the future. But the product managers do look at this on they look at it every 2 weeks. They go through, they let you know if it's going to be something that's added, if it is going to be something added. They try to give some form of a time frame. And then they kind of just keep up with you during the life cycle. Sometimes they open it up saying that it's not on the roadmap, but they would like to see the idea get more traction. So of course, if that's the case, share the link to your idea and get some traction on it. You do have to be a member of the Qlik community, so you do have to have an account on the Qlik community, and anyone that tries to upvote or comment on your idea that you send it to does have to be a member of the community as well.
Just going to add a comment. I believe that direct discovery is more like a feature for QlikView. So the options for queries, live queries, will be more ODAG in Qlik Sense.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Nadia. All right. All right, next question. We are using the restore process for pave and repave. After system is restored, user directory connectors, directory name, and user directory becomes blank. Any solution for this issue? So it looks like their directory name comes up blank.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this happen live, so I would need. This might be one of those situations that's better answered within an actual case. I would have to do some testing to see if there's something I can replicate, but I haven't seen this in the wild. All of my restorations have had the UDC directory name.
Okay.
Yeah, this might. I think on this one, I would recommend just creating a case and going through official support channels.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
And so just make sure when you're creating a case, you provide as much detail as possible, any screenshots, and of course, version of Qlik Sense that you're running. It'll help minimize back and forth with the engineer that gets your case if you provide as much detail as possible. All right, perfect. Is there any specific way or app to pull out, identify unused custom property values assigned to the dashboards in Qlik Sense?
I mean, I think this is possible via the API. I don't have a I don't have a solution ready, but let me look around. Yeah, I'll look
Okay.
around during this
There
session and
are
see if I can
some
find
tools
something.
in the
Yeah.
admin playbook that help to look around things that are in use and are not in use, but I'm not sure if there is any specific for custom properties.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone wants to pull up the admin playbook and just take a look, we can kind of come back to that one. All right. The next question. In our enterprise setup, we sometimes have people writing bad apps and reload with huge amount of data. Is there any mechanism to automatically identify any apps which has a size greater than some pre-agreed limit and forced to run on a specific node?
Yeah, there is. Back to that load balancing consumer nodes. There's a way to identify large apps and force those to run on kind of large app nodes. Again, this is another one of those. I'll have to see if I can find documentation.
Sure.
But I've seen a lot of customers do this. So I don't know if you can kind of automatically detect a size greater than X, but I'll look into it.
And so I'm on the help right here, and then just went to Qlik Sense, and if we just search for load balancing, it should pop up any and all documentation. So maybe this one, or at least this will give you kind of a starting point. There's quite a few things that pop up there, so.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the actual article.
All right, just want to make sure that let's see what we have in the comments here. So we do have another question in the comments or in the chat. Does Qlik support bizlib related extensions? So as far as extensions go, we only support our extensions, the ones that are in the dashboard and visualization bundles. Some of those are, I believe, part of bizlib, or we got them from bizlib. But as far as bizlib's extension pack, they would support that. So if there are any issues, you do want to report it to bizlib. And then they will, if they need to work with us, they will work with us on fixing it. But usually it's on them to help troubleshoot and identify what the issue is and fix it if it's something within the extension. All right. Is there any way to monitor the reload from the hub and alert based high on RAM CPU utilization?
No, there's not currently.
Okay. If that's something that you would like to see, I would suggest putting it out there in the ideas, and see if we can get something in there for you. Again, share once you create an idea, make sure you share it with all of your coworkers and peers, and try to get traction on the idea. Okay. In our enterprise setup, we sometimes have people writing bad apps and reload. Oh, I just read that one. Sorry. All right. Next question. When a user with QMC access duplicates an app that they are not the owner of, we lose the data load of the app. We have to change ownership, duplicate, and then change the owner back to keep it. Is that an issue or per design?
QMC access.
So when you say we lose the data load of the app, does that mean you lose the script? Like the script goes blank? Yes.
I mean, it could be a design issue if it's a section access thing. If section access is involved, and the user doesn't have access to it, it will remove the load script when you duplicate the app. Is section access involved here?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how things are architected. There could be some security rules. So custom security rules will also do this. This is another scenario where I would recommend a support case.
I'd be curious to know what version you're on as well. I know that there can be a number of things in play here, but I know I've seen and heard of this.
Yeah, there were a few JIRAs about it, so
Yeah.
this could be, unfortunately, this could be something version specific, as you point out.
Yeah.
Yeah, support case is probably the best place to answer this question.
If you get us the version number, we'll dig into it a little bit, and if we see anything for the specific version that you're on, we'll let you know. And if it's resolved in a version, if it's not, we'll also let you know. That way you can create a case if necessary. All right. I'm just looking through the chat. Jay did put some load balancing links in the chat. So if anyone had any questions related to load balancing, you might want to check those out. I'm just making sure we didn't miss anything. Again, please try to use the Q&A panel. I know it's a lot. You have the chat panel and the Q&A panel, and they're kind of different uses, but it's easier for us to manage questions in your in the Q&A. And that person said thank you. You're welcome. All right. What are the options to switch to the continuity of business environment for disaster recovery server in case of production failover?
Yeah, I'm glad this question was asked. This is one that would be great for the CSE session, the next talk to experts.
Okay.
Yeah, they can go through those options and explain what what the configurations are.
Okay, Perfect. Again, so the next session is April 27th. It's best practices for Qlik Sense apps and designs. And we'll have a CSE on the call. So I don't know if my slides have stopped. I'll make sure that it continues to cycle through. But there's a QR code in the slide deck, so you can easily sign up for the next session. All right. Is it possible to have 2 scheduler nodes set to master? We ideally want the failover to also act as a master node. Do either of you?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. I haven't seen it. So, is it possible? Maybe. I think
Supported
that
is another question.
yeah, I think we need to research this, or maybe the CSEs can tell you. Maybe the CSEs see a lot more different types of implementations than we do in support. We see a lot, but they see much more of these types of front end, not front end, but questions about setting up
Configurations. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question. I have to move all my windows around. We have a problem with a mashup in Qlik Sense, and we're not able to share the complete code. How can we report this issue?
We don't usually require the complete code. As long as we have a sample to reproduce, it could be really a very basic mashup and the application or applications involved. As long as we can reproduce and test that this is an abnormal behavior, that will be enough for us to start looking into the issue.
Okay, perfect. All right. We are trying to work on a new implementation using Qlik Sense APIs, but we are not getting the expected results.
Most of the issues or cases that we get about APIs are kind of very tricky because there is a difference between something that is not working as designed and questions about how to do something. So if there is something in our documentation that says that the API should give you a specific result and you're not seeing that, that we definitely can look at them. If there is something more about, I want to work in this solution and I'm trying to do this, that might be a better question for the CSE and CSM.
Okay, perfect. All right. Recently, we have observed users facing issue with the Qlik Sense Hub while accessing through Google Chrome. The user is not able to access any streams or dashboards that he had access to earlier, but when the user clears the browsing history, he is able to access the hub. The issue is only happening when the user is accessing the hub, but not with any other browser. Are there any settings that need to be set in Chrome?
So specifically, Chrome will pull the settings from Internet Explorer. So if it's working in IE, it technically should work in Chrome. One good test is to have the user have someone with access log the user directly into the server via RDP and or emulate that user's credentials and just test it in Chrome and see if the same behavior exists. If it doesn't, then it's probably an issue, with the reverse proxy or with whatever portal is being used to access Qlik. But if it does, then that would be another example of something that's probably best handled via a specific support case, because sometimes there are some environmental things that need to be looked at and isolated. But I would say it's if it works on the server, then it's probably something in the environment. If you could try to isolate things and add the check in IE, make sure that it works there as well. and that'll help you kind of isolate what's going on.
Also check if there are extensions in Chrome. Sometimes extension cause abnormal behavior, so just be sure that you don't have any specific there that might be causing the issue.
And they added that
agree.
it's happening intermittently.
Yeah, I mean, normally when I see that, maybe sometimes it takes a certain route or and a WebSocket gets blocked or something like that. So probably better to analyze this specific environment via a support case.
Yeah.
But check it in IE and check it and check it on the server. See if it's always working on the server in Chrome.
And I don't know if this will help either, but just check if they're connecting via VPN, if they're inside the office sometimes or outside of the office or anything like that, it could affect as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. If anyone has any questions, you can ask your questions to our experts using the Q&A panel. We will keep going as long as we have questions. All right. So the next question, I have an application issue, and we can't share the application due to security concerns.
Again, as long as we get an application, it could be just basic to isolate the issue and we can replicate, that's going to be okay. If it's something that you see that where is performance and we do have only this problem with this big app, the information can be scrambled. So we still can get a copy of your application without your concerns of sharing data.
And also keep in mind that we have a very strict NDA. We don't ever share customer data. We sign that with all of our customers, and any data that we do get is destroyed after a certain amount of time for compliance.
Perfect. And I did pull up the article for scrambling data in QlikSense. I'm just trying to grab it and put it over here for everyone, and I'll share the link. So we do have a step-by-step article that walks you through how to scramble data in QlikSense. So I'll go ahead and put that.
And even in some cases, if the data is scrambled, that gives us enough, we have enough in the app, even if we need something out of the data. If it's scrambled, a lot of times we can still analyze it and see what's going on with it and see where it's hanging up, and R&D can often figure out what's going on with it even if the data is scrambled. So keep that in mind.
Okay. I'm trying to implement a new solution in Python, making calls to APIs in QlikSense, and I'm getting 500 internal error, but I'm not sure what is causing it.
When troubleshooting APIs, if you're using a specific language, we might not be able to look into your code because we are not familiar with all the languages, but one of the things that is easy to do is maybe use a third-party tool like Postman and see if your API calls is working there, and then start from there to see. Also, Postman has a better options or shows more detailed errors when it comes to API calls. But any third-party tool that you are familiar with that you can use might be a good start when it comes to making just calls to APIs and make sure that you're getting the result that you're expecting.
Okay, perfect. All right. I want to create security rules to grant different levels to create bookmarks, but I'm not able to achieve it.
So for security rules, unless there's something that you see that it was working before and then it doesn't work, it's something that we can help with. If it's something that is new and we're just trying to make a new implementation, that's a better question for CSE.
Yeah, I have seen this done. There's a couple of different community posts about this where some people say it can't really be done. Some people say it can be done. It can be done from what I'm reading, but the stuff is kind of all over the place. To Nadia's point, the CSE session, they should be able to answer this question with best practice attached.
Okay, perfect. All right. Is there any automatic way rather than manually checking the app against some basic best practice guidelines like no circular reference, app size, synthetic keys? Anything that doesn't meet this criteria needs to be flagged?
I don't think there's an automatic way to do it. I mean, these are app design best practices. Yeah, I don't believe there's an automatic way to do it. Nadia, do you know?
No,
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, when it comes to application development, there are many things in place. It could be improvements in the data model. It could be the way that the expressions were set. So it's not, we don't really have anything automatic that say, well, instead of use nested ifs, use this option or something like that.
Okay. All right, next question. For app loading times and refreshes of tables and visuals, does Qlik prefer a larger single table that are joined in the load with its dependent tables dropped to avoid synthetics, or separate tables joined by master keys? Do either of you?
Yeah, I think that that might be something better for CSEs. It's about data modeling. And again, it really depends on what the data you have and how you want to make those implementations.
I do want to put it out there as well that there are, let's see if I can, if you go to help.qlik.com and then go to the Qlik Sense documentation and just search for best practices, there are some articles out there on the help. One of them is for best practices for data modeling. So you might want to take a look at that. It might help answer your question. And again, obviously, like Nadia just mentioned, the session that is happening April 27th, we'll have a CSE on the call. They might be a better person to ask directly. And then something else is I believe there are trainings out there as well that are free from learning.qlik.com. And I believe there are a couple that are, design related and data modeling. So you might want to take a look at that. Let me see if I can find that for you really quick. Let me just look. Yeah, so there's a couple sections here. So I'm on learning.qlik.com and just browsed or navigated to the bottom. There is a load data section and a model architecting. So some of the questions might be answered in those. And I believe most of the sessions are free. Some of them you do have to have a continuous classroom membership, but that would be, yeah, you'll see the free tag at the top there, and you can you should be able to like sort through the different, filter out the different trainings for your level. Some of them are intro and some of them are advanced, but there should be some classes out there too that would give you a lot of the best practices. A lot of those are free. If it's something that's not and you don't have access to the continuous classroom, I would reach out to your account manager or your CSM and they can probably help you out with that.
Hey, Jamie, quick question about this session. Can all the attendees see the question and answers, the answered panel?
Yeah, they can see they should be able to see the Q&A panel.
Okay, just want to point out that Rob dropped a note in there, pointed out that the next version of Document Analyzer does flag best practices, so that might be
Oh, great.
yeah, it might be something for the earlier question about some automatic way to do that. Again,
Perfect.
not supported by Qlik support, but it's a tool that's out there that's actively being developed.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm just gonna,
Thanks, Rob.
just in case, yeah, thank you, Rob. I'm just gonna copy and paste that just in case people can't see it. I believe they can see it, but we'll just put it in the chat for everyone. So I just copied and pasted the comment for everybody. Great, thank you. All right, so sheet level security, is this possible to achieve? We have tried a few approaches recently with no success. Thank you.
I'm trying to look into this one. I don't see a conditional option yet when it comes to application level, but I've seen this before being handled by security rules. So it's just a matter of check of the object ID and grant the access to the specific users.
Okay, perfect. This one looks to be more like Qlik alerting. I'll ask it, but I don't know if we have anyone on the call that can answer this. So we are holding a Qlik alerting license. We are trying to test the setup on a test server in our environment, which is not having internet access to update the license. Is there any other way to update the license to test the functionality?
I'm not aware of the option of an offline license, but we can check with our team and verify with them to see if that's possible.
Okay. All right, let's see. I'm trying to analyze CPU and RAM utilization of individual charts in my applications in Qlik Sense. How can I accomplish that?
You can enable the performance logs in Qlik Sense and then use the telemetry dashboard. It will show you some information about CPU and RAM consumption. So it's a good place to start when it comes to analyzing objects. Anything you would like to add, Jay?
No. Telemetry dashboard is correct. So there's another kind of question around this about if a certain app or a certain chart is having performance impact, or a set of apps. And what we normally recommend is for people to isolate the environment to load this particular app to load on one engine node. So you can create a simple virtual proxy load balancing to one engine, restart the engine service on that node, bring up the app in question, cycle through the sheets, click on the individual charts, note the RAM, CPU, resource utilization. Click on it, generate insights, those types of things, and see how that affects the consumption of resources. And also look and see what process is consuming the resources, whether it's the engine or the repository or something else. In some cases you might have node.exe consuming a lot of memory or CPU. And after you test an individual app, a QVF, or an individual chart, you can restart the engine service to ensure that the engine's only calculating one app or one sheet at a time. And then you can kind of compare that against a baseline or note the performance for future monitoring, kind of create a new baseline. And if you suspect something that has recently changed, you can go in the QMC and show columns and look at the created dates of the apps and or the last modified date of the apps, and see if there's some a specific set of apps, maybe a week's worth or 2 weeks worth of apps that have changed that you can kind of focus on trying to isolate down.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. And I pulled up the telemetry dashboard for everyone. It is on the admin playbook. If you're not familiar with the admin playbook, it definitely has a lot of just things that our CSEs or our pre-sales team work with to kind of help with your environment. So I would definitely check this out. You can just Google admin playbook, or just here's the URL for anyone, and I did put the link in the chat. There's a lot of great resources in here, stuff with like extensions and the app metadata analyzer, which we talked about a little bit earlier today. There's just a lot of helpful assets in here. So take a look at those if you haven't already. All right. And then, yeah, so the person before just said, thank you, Nadia. And they would like, if possible, to be able to use the Qlik alerting license offline. I know that most of our products have the ability to do that. Just unfortunately for Qlik alerting, I don't think any of us know the question offhand. I do know that it was asked just yesterday, I feel like, but they asked it into a different platform, which I didn't have access to look at the answer. So if only I could have given you that answer, but I'm sorry. We'll look it up and we will get back to you on that. I'm going to go ahead and do a last call for questions. If anyone has any other questions, go ahead and get them in. For our experts, we have about 12 minutes left, so if we have any more. Just a reminder, let me go ahead and pull that up again. We do have the next session, April 27th, Best Practices for QlikSense App and Development, or QlikSense App Development. We will have support people as well as CSE on the call. So hopefully we can get some of your questions answered for that. Just gave everyone just another minute. Again, we do have the survey, so once the session ends, you will receive a pop-up for a survey. We do ask that you it should take less than a minute. Just fill that out. It's just really easy questions. And you can give a shout out to Nadia and Jay for their amazing work today on this session. I hope everyone found it beneficial. I know we couldn't answer all of the questions, but we will definitely look into those that we couldn't answer. And I hope that you will join us for our next session, where we will have a CSE on the call, and they might be able to help with those best practices questions that we got. Again, also the documentation and the trainings are available. So take a look at those. Those might help in the meantime. If you have a CSC or a CSM, reach out to them and they can help you with that as well in the meantime. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end the session. We'll give everyone 10 minutes back into your day. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you joining us today. I hope that you were able to find this time beneficial with our signature support people. And thank you, Nadia, and thank you, Jay. We will see you all next month. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.